Ladies and gentlemen, there is a practice, a way that's so effective, Marcus Aurelius said. It's quietly been discouraged in therapy rooms. Wabiku suffering like a hot knife through illusion. Marcus Aurelius said, it leaves nothing to analyze, nothing to process, and no narrative to cling to. It demands personal sovereignty, and not everyone is ready for that. You are not your thoughts, Marcus Aurelius said. This simple statement holds within it a profound truth that people overlook their entire lives. Marcus Aurelius said, the mind is a relentless machine producing every moment. For rightful, others irrational, many irrelevant. Marcus Aurelius said, and some destructive. These thoughts come and go unvetted, shaped by memory, mood, environment, or fear. Yet, Marcus Aurelius said, the common mistake is to assume that every reality or worse, that it defines who we are. Marcus Aurelius, this is not only inaccurate, it is the root of much suring. When a person thinks, Marcus Aurelius said, I'm a failure, it's rarely just a passing observation. It often becomes a verdict. Marcus Aurelius said, but the thought is just that, a flicker of perception, not a fact. The thought may arise from fatigue, past conditioning, or a moment of comparison, but it doesn't define always stay silent it. Marcus Aurelius said, it is entirely possible to have a self-critical and with clarity instead of self-loathing. Marcus Aurelius said, the thought does not have to dictate identity or forever, lies in recognizing the gap between thought and response. Marcus, that gap is freedom. Most people react to their threats as they are orders, marching blindly to the beat of whatever the mind presents. But once you begin to notice thoughts as events in the mind, like clouds in the sky or waves on the shore, you realize they come and go without permanence. Marcus Aurelius said, you start to see that you can pause, reflect, and decide how to act. In that decision, you begin to shape who you really are. Some thoughts are intrusive or irrational. Marcus Aurelius said, I'm worthless. They all hate me. Everything will wrong. The danger isn't that these thoughts occur. Marcus Aurelius said, the danger is in attaching to them, believing, and reacting as if they are truths. Marcus Aurelius said, but what if you observe them as you might observe street corner? Loud, emotional, but ultimately, not your concern. That distance, mental stay see me, isn't clarity. Marcus Aurelius said, it is the recognition that everything the mind offers is worthy of belief or engagement. Marcus Aurelius said, you may not control the thoughts that arise, but you always have control over the response. That response is where identity is built. Marcus Aurelius said, respond with calm and you become composed. Respond with reflection and you become wise. Respond with patience. Marcus Aurelius said, and you become resilient. Who you are is not the sum of your mental noise, but the quality of your choices in the face of that noise. Marcus Aurelius said, this way of thinking doesn't mean ignoring thoughts exist. It means seeing them clearly. Marcus Aurelius said, without judgment or fusion. It means treating them like a messenger, not a master. Marcus Aurelius said, by refusing to be ruled by every passing idea, you reclaim the authority of your inner life. And slowly, Marcus Aurelius said, you become someone who isn't swayed by chaos, but instead someone who moves with purpose, aware and unmoved by every gust of mental wind. Emotion is not enemy, it's a message, not a mandate. Yet, Marcus Aurelius said, most people live as if every emotion must be a question, and with full conviction. When anger flares, they yell. When fear rises, they retreat. When sadness appears, they crumble. But emotions were never meant to control us, Marcus Aurelius said. They are meant to inform us, like weather internal landscape, offering information about our values, our needs, and our environment. The mistake is in weather for the traveler. An emotion, in its raw form, Marcus Aurelius said, is simply energy, an alert that something matters. Anger may indicate a boundary has been crossed. Marcus Aurelius said, fear might signal uncertainty or risk. Sadness could reveal of loss or unmet longing. These feelings are not wrong or bad. Marcus Aurelius said they are not signs of weakness or instability. They are part of being human, but they are also not commands. Marcus Aurelius said, just because you feel rage doesn't mean you must brood. You feel despair doesn't mean you must surrender. Marcus Aurelius said there is a space between emotion and action, and it is in that space where strength is found. Marcus Aurelius said, the trouble begins when people fuse with their emotions. When they say, Marcus said I am angry, rather than, I feel anger. The deep one but powerful. I am angry becomes identity. I feel anger becomes observation. Observation always dear choice. Marcus Aurelius said, you can feel the full surge of an emotion and still not obey it. You can acknowledge its presence without handing over the wheel. In doing so, you learn to coexist with your emotions instead of being consumed by them. Emotions are temporary by nature. They rise, the peak, and pass, if allowed. But when suppressed or over-endured they dirt. Suppression turns them toxic. Marcus Aurelius said, pushing them deeper until they erupt unexpectedly. You always as their grip. Marcus Aurelius said, making people act impulsively and often regret a hand allows for integration. It is the act of saying, Marcus Aurelius said, I see you and I will listen. But I will not be emotional and comfortable. Some arrive without warning. Marcus Aurelius said, but all of them offer insight if you are willing to look. Fear teach you about your attachments. Marcus Aurelius said, envy can point to desires you haven't yet owned. Guilt might reveal values that you've neglected. Instead of pushing emotions away or reacting blindly to them, there's a third way to sit with them. Let them speak. Let them pass. You not flinch, and do not flail. The mind that can hold emotion without judgment is the mind that becomes clear. Not cold, Marius, not robotic, just calm and grounded. Such a mind doesn't feeling. It just refuses to be dragged by it. Marcus Aurelius said, that is the essence of inner mastery. You do not wage war against your emotions. You learn from them. You respect them. But you remain the one who decides what comes next. Controllable. It sounds simple, almost obvious. Marcus Aurelius said, yet it is one of the hardest disciplines to practice, and perhaps the most liberating. At every moment. Marcus Aurelius said, life presents countless moving pieces, other people's events, the past, the future, even the weather. The human mind default tries to grasp it all. It wants certainty, safety, prediction. Marcus Aurelius said, but most of what happens in the world lies outside him, not defeatist. It's truth, and once accepted, Marcus Aurelius said, it becomes a kind of freedom that no external experience is limited. You cannot control how others speak, Marcus Aurelius said, how they feel or how they respond to you. You cannot or where your efforts are always appreciated, whether the world is fair, Marcus Aurelius said, or whether plans go the way you imagined. Trying what you can only breeds anxiety, resentment, and exhaustion, Marcus Aurelius said. You start fighting battles that were never yours to win doing so, and neglect the battles that were. Aurelius said, what you can control is always closer than it seems. You can control your actions, what you say, how you show up, Marcus Aurelius said, and the effort you give, and the way you treat others. You control your mindset, the stories you tell yourself, and the standards you hold. You can choose whether to act with integrity or to fold under pressure. Marcus Aurelius said, you can decide how to respond when things go wrong. That's the real ground of power, not in changing the world, Marcus Aurelius said, but in mastering how you move through it. Then in becoming passive or indifferent, Marcus Aurelius said, it means putting your energy where it counts. You taughting your habits, not the outcome. You train your character, Marcus Aurelius said, not the circumstances. You release the illusion that world must bend to your preferences, and instead, Marcus Aurelius said, you focus on becoming the kind of person who can handle whatever the world offers. That shift in focus is everything, Marcus Aurelius said. letting go of what you can't control is not walls. It's choosing peace over obsession, clarity over confusion, Marcus Aurelius said. It's learning that worry changes nothing except your own being. People often think that if they don't worry, Marcus Aurelius said, they don't care. But worry is not care, it's what's for. Care is shown through consistent, Marcus Aurelius said, grounded action on the things within your reach. Every day is discipline. Traffic jams, rude comments, dilacerate or laid plans. Small things, but enough to throw you let them. The practice is to pause, ask yourself, Marcus Aurelius said, is this within my control? If not, release it, if yet with purpose. That habit, repeated, becomes a way of life. A quiet strength builds in you, not from bending your will, Marcus Aurelius said, but from learning how to remain steady when the reefs bend. The one who learns to control only what they can, and let go of all else, is the one who walks through fire without burning, Marcus Aurelius said, because their peace is no longer held hostage by, is rooted in choice. And choice is always yours, Marcus Aurelius said. Freedom is found in choice, not in the absence, in the guarantee of success, but in the quiet, powerful space between what happens and how you respond. That space is small, Marcus Aurelius said, but within it lies the entire foundation of human activity. Most people move through life reacting, pulled by emotion, Marcus Aurelius said, triggered by events, enslaved by impulse. Some before they even realize it, they're swept up in anger, fear, Marcus Aurelius said, blame or despair. But if they could pause, just would see they always have a choice. That moment of remembrance is freedom. Circumstances are rarely in your full control. Life brings pain, setbacks, loss, Marcus Aurelius said, and injustice. These are not personal failures, they are part of the human experience. But how you respond, what meaning you assign, Marcus Aurelius said, what words you speak, what actions you take. The end can provoke you, but it cannot force you, Marcus Aurelius said. You might feel fear, but you can still act courage. Act with courage, but you can still choose grace. You might feel anger, Marcus Aurelius said, but you can still respond with calm. Each rests per self, not according to what the world does, Marcus Aurelius said, but according to who you decide to be. Choices, pour erects the story. It's what turns reaction into intention. Instead of saying, they made me feel this way, you begin to ask, what will I do with what I feel? Instead of, Marcus Aurelius said, this shouldn't have happened, you begin to ask, given that it did, Marcus Aurelius said, how will I move forward? These questions put the steering wheel back in your hands, Marcus Aurelius said. They take the curse of experience and returning at the outside, but by anchoring the inside, Marcus Aurelius said, when you forget this power, you begin to drift. You become a victim of conditions, a slave to every push and pull around you, Marcus Aurelius said. You might blame others, complain endlessly, to change before you take responsibility. But waiting is not freedom. Freedom is found now, in this moment, Aurelius said. By recognizing you don't have to obey every emotion or every thought, you can stand back and choose. Not react. Choose. Marcus Aurelius said that choice might be hard. It might ask for humility, raigo. It might go against habit or ego, Marcus Aurelius said. But it will always strengthen you. Every conscious is a brick in the foundation of character. And over time, Marcus Aurelius said, the more you choose with awareness, the more unshakable you become. The forms don't stop coming, but you no longer fear them, Marcus Aurelius said, because you trust your ability to respond. Freedom, then, is not the absence of influence. Marcus Aurelius said, it's not doing whatever you want without consequence. It's the steady, in knowing that no matter what happens, Marcus Aurelius said, you remain the author of your response. In that author you reclaim your dignity, your direction, and your peace. Marcus Aurelius said, no one can take that from you. Not circumstance, not movior. Because the power to choose is yours, and in that, Marcus Aurelius said, "You are free. Victimhood is a trap. It offers temporarily the temporary comfort of pointing the finger outward." Marcus Aurelius said, of saying, "I feel this way because of them," or "I'm few what happened to me." And at times, Marcus Aurelius said, that might even be partly true. People hurt each other, and some burdens are placed without consent, Aurelius said. But when you make victimhood your identity, when your inner world is permanently at the mercy of outside forces, Marcus Aurelius said, you surrender the one thing you must protect at your power. Blaming others for your emotions, your failures, or your circumstances might feel justified. It can be factually accurate. But what it never is empowering. Marcus Aurelius said, because every time you assign your emotion, Yuna's behavior, you give away control over your life. You become reactive, not responsive. You depend others to soon feel better. And while you wait, resentment builds. Marcus Aurelius said, you don't heal, you stagnate. The truth is harsh. No one is coming to rescue you from your own mind. Marcus Aurelius said, the way you interpret the past, the stories you replay, the meaning you attach to events, these are all within your domain. Marcus Aurelius said, and they shape how you feel far more than what actually happened. They cannot reach into the present without your permission. Marcus Aurelius said, the pain might still echo, but your current minds, whether you feed it or transform it. Marcus Aurelius said, victimhood tells you the world owes you, that's broken before you can move forward. Marcus Aurelius said, but power whispers something differing, that you things are unfair, even while others don't apologize. Marcus Aurelius said, even while the wound is still healing, power says you take responsibility for your next step. Marcus Aurelius said, not because everything is your fault, but because your future depends on it. Marcus Aurelius said, this doesn't mean denying injustice or excusing you. Let them define you. It means owning your response. Marcus Aurelius said, your attitude, your growth. It's recognizing that you may have used the pain. You now choose the path, and that choice, repeated over time, becomes strength. The trap of victimhood lies in its simplicity. It offers an easy narrative. I'm hurt, therefore I'm powerless. But power isn't found in ease. Marcus Aurelius said, it's forged in the willingness to face yourself honestly and say. Marcus Aurelius said, what now? It's in deciding that your peace isn't going to wait else's behavior to change. Marcus Aurelius said that your progress isn't held hostage by the past. Marcus Aurelius said that you won't waste your energy proving how raw you is when you be building a life beyond it. Marcus Aurelius said, stepping out of victimhood is not about denying your pain, it's about refusing to be ruled by it. Marcus Aurelius said, it's about choosing to become someone who rises. None were never broken, but because they decided not to stay there. Marcus Aurelius said, that decision is the return of your power, and no one can make it for you. Simplicity is strength. In a world that thrives on complexity, on endless stay silent, twos, Marcus Aurelius said, and frameworks, it's easy to forget that clarity is more powerful than knowledge. The mind craves explanation. Marcus Aurelius said, something to analyze or dissect, but peace does come from complexity. It comes from a clean, Marcus Aurelius said, grounded understanding of what matters, and the courage to lie it. The deepest truths are not buried under layers of theory. Marcus, they are right in front of us, simple and unchanging. But sophisticity requires something rare. Marcus Aurelius said, the discipline to stay with what is essential, and resist being pulled into distraction. There is a certain seduction in complexity. It offers detours and places to hide. When life feels uncertain or difficult, Marcus Aurelius said, many people instinctively look for another system, another mental model. Marcus Aurelius said, but what if the answer isn't more information? What your real task is to strip away the noise. Marcus Aurelius said, and act on what you already know but resist. That and his simple truths often demand hard choices. Marcus Aurelius said, they don't allow blame or avoidance or delay. As you look at yourself plainly and to act without drama. Marcus Aurelius said, you already know much of what you need to do. You know that discipline leads to growth, that honesty builds trust, that patience outlasts chaos. You know that complaining doesn't, and that clarity comes through action, not analysis. These are not complex insights. They are simple, but they are not easy. Marcus Aurelius said, and that's where the strength lies, in facing without trying to escape it. Marcus Aurelius said, the strength of simplicity lies in its stability. It do to it with opinion or trend. It doesn't ask for outside validation. It is clear, grounded, and self-reliant. A person rooted in simple principles, self-control, gratuitous, cannot be easily shaken. Marcus Aurelius said, they do not need to overthink every situation, overanalyze every feeling. They know what matters, and they return to it again and again, like a compass pointing north. Marcus Aurelius said, this mindset doesn't reject tools or learning, but it does refuse to be enslaved by them. It says, before I reach for a solution, have I done the basics? Before I complicate things, have I truly committed to the simple path? Most often, we haven't. Marcus Aurelius said, we look outward because we haven't yet mastered what Sishi Diwazi, that we stop hiding. Marcus Aurelius said, that we face the truth directly, and access rest with to dilection. Marcus Aurelius said, it is easier to keep searching than it is to rise than to act. But strength comes from stillness. Marcus Aurelius said, not motion, from knowing what matters and living coyly, without fanfare. Marcus Aurelius said, that kind of clarity doesn't need to be explained. Presence, in calm, in decisions made not out of fear or noise, but from principle. Simplicity is not weakness, it is distilled power. Marcus Aurelius said, it doesn't look for shortcuts because it knows the direct path is always the strongest, even if it's also the hardest. So walk the path not with noise, but with clarity. Remember that you are not your thoughts, not your emotions. Marcus Aurelius said, not what happens to you, but how you respond and how you carry yourself through it all. Let go of what you can't control, refuse the comfort lame, and meet life with courage, not complexity. Marcus Aurelius said, strength isn't found in force or volume, it's found in quiet discipline, in inner stillness, and in the unwavering commitment to live simply, clearly, with purpose. That is your power. No one gives it to you. You claim it, one decision at a time.